The resignation of Mahinda Rajapaksa, Sri Lanka's Prime Minister, may just be the beginning of the end of the dominance of Rajapaksas in Sri Lanka. However, the country's financial and political crisis are far from over. Dr. Owen Sun from the Pacific Research Centre discusses what's next for Sri Lanka.
We are not sure yet whether it is only one Rajapaksa or both Rajapaksa brothers resigning, because I think the popular demand is for both of them to resign. But I think it is unclear also whether who will be willing to take over the Sri Lankan government. I think, for example, it was offered to the opposition a few weeks ago to form the next government and so on, and they perhaps wisely, but at least politely, declined to do so, because no matter whoever is in charge at the moment, I think they will be blamed for the economic situation, the worsening economic situation.
Isan suggests for expatriates to help rebuild Sri Lanka's economy.
Sri Lanka is a country where there are a lot of expatriates who are quite well accomplished, but in some other countries, even in the United States and so on. So I think it is time for some of these expats, for example, who are very well off in other countries, for them to come back to Sri Lanka to invest and perhaps even to take charge of Sri Lanka for the moment, to tide Sri Lanka over this difficult period before, for example, all these elections and various other means of re-electing the new leaders could resume.
More importantly, Isan said countries should focus on having sound economic policies to not fall into further debt.
The government would have really need to have a very deliberate and well thought of policies in terms of economic development. For example, balancing between the needs for domestic consumptions versus the need for foreign exports in order to earn us those hard-earned foreign currencies, and of course not to rack up a lot of foreign debts. I mean, it is understandable, for example, during a crisis such as the recent pandemic, that we borrow a bit more from foreign sources, but not to the extent of, let's say, Sri Lanka, in which their foreign debt actually exceeds the size of their GDP. That would be something that is very detrimental to the country.